If you learn this one principle, it will be so easy to lose weight, you'll wonder why you ever struggled. My name is TJ. I'm an online fitness coach who specializes in fat loss. And for the last 2 years, I was stuck in this cycle of constantly losing weight and then gaining it back over and over and over due to this one principle, which then led me into binge eating. It wasn't until I learned this principle that I'm about to tell you that everything came together and I finally ended up losing the weight. Now I'm here, about 10 pounds down, consistently losing weight for the first time in 2 years. I'm the lightest I've been in 2 years, and every single week I'm losing more weight. Now, I was always a competitive kid growing up. I grew up playing basketball. I played that until high school, until I got cut from the high school team. And I was pretty decent at basketball. Still am, still play. But I'm 5'8", so I could only be so good, I guess. And so I got cut from basketball. That led me to track. I ran track in high school. And again, I was pretty good. Not D1 level or anything like that, but pretty sure, yeah, decently good. All right, decently good, right? And I worked really hard at that. I worked really hard at basketball. After track, well, during a track practice, one that was rained out, our coach told us to go to the weight room. And I lifted for the first time in my life. Lighting is not good that way. I was in a gym for the first time in my life, and it just sparked something inside of me. I don't know what it was, but I immediately fell in love with it. And then the gym became that thing in my life, that thing that I identified with, that I put everything into. The same with basketball, the same with track. And that led me to powerlifting. I ended up competing in powerlifting for about 3 years, broke 2 American records, a bunch of state records. So I was pretty decent at powerlifting as well. And that was because, again, I put everything I had into it. Now, what I'm not telling you is all the other aspects of my life. Because what I'm now realizing in hindsight is that I was very good at putting my all into things that I enjoyed doing. But what I wasn't good at was putting my all or working hard into the things that I didn't enjoy doing, but the things that would get me to where I want to be, right? And this happened with school. I was never a bad student. Like, I was never failing or anything like that. But I would say I was a pretty consistent, like, B student. I did enough to get by in every other aspect of my life. Same with if my parents asked me to do chores around the house, I would never actually put my all into it. And there's many other examples that I can give you. But what I'm trying to say is that I needed to learn to work hard in the things that I didn't want to do. Because I found it the hard way when it came to eating. Now, I was never really a fat kid growing up. I was always somewhere in the middle. I was never super skinny or never super fat. And I believe that's because, I know that's because I was always super active. Like I said, playing basketball. I was also playing baseball, played a season of football in high school. And also my generation, we played manhunt outside. We did things outside, all of our friends. So I was always active, but from a young age, like literally since I was born, I've always enjoyed eating, like very much so. My mom would tell me that when I was a baby, I would ask for more baby food, applesauce, whatever babies eat, right? When I was a toddler, I would be climbing on countertops to get more food. And then as a kid, I was trying to find eating challenges as a 10-year-old, like in my neighborhood, trying to beat eating challenges because I loved eating. Thank the Lord that I was never an obese kid because of how much activity I was doing and how many sports I was playing. But I always loved eating, and that is still true. That has came into my adulthood and has turned into binge eating. And so for these last 2 years, I've struggled with binge eating. I was just living in Vietnam for 4 months, and there it got the worst it's ever been. Primarily because I was alone, right, in my own apartment, so no one to really hide food from, right? So it was very easy to just order food. The food there was super cheap. I could order food delivery for under $10. And that became a habit of me throughout the week, losing weight, throughout the day, following my diet, and then when it came to 9 p.m., 10 p.m., I would binge on food. I would order burgers, burritos, always get dessert also, never just dinner, always had to get dessert. A lot of the time that looked like chocolate cake, cookies. I really would get the same thing from the same restaurants. Usually it was a burger and fries, and then chocolate cake, cookie brownie, and then a cookie or like a regular brownie. And my worst cycle of that was my last week in Vietnam. It was about a 5-day cycle, I think, of me doing everything I was supposed to do throughout the day, eating my normal meal plan, tracking my calories, going to the gym, doing my cardio. And then at night, I would order all of that, and it would mess everything up. And then I would tell myself that I wouldn't do it tomorrow. I would feel so ashamed of myself. I would be so bloated. I would feel gross. I'd want to throw up. And I just felt like I would never lose the weight if this kept happening, which is true. And I would tell myself, I'm not going to do this tomorrow. I'm not going to do this to myself again. Like I'm self-sabotaging myself. Like, how could I ever do this to myself? And then the next day came, and I did it again. And that happened about 5 days in a row. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is my entire life, I've been seeking comfort. I am blessed to have had a stable childhood, I would say, in a nice area, as you can probably see. And so things for me have always been pretty comfortable. And I thank God for that, of course. I'm definitely grateful for that. What I'm trying to say, though, is that I don't know what it feels like, or I didn't know what it felt like to be uncomfortable. And so I went my whole life only doing what was comfortable. Right back to schoolwork, not wanting to work hard at schoolwork, not wanting to work hard at doing chores around the house. Anything I didn't want to do, anything that felt uncomfortable, not fun, I didn't want to do it. In terms of losing weight, What changed for me was seeking that discomfort. Because that was the thing that was holding me back. I didn't want to give up binging. I didn't want to give up eating whatever I wanted. I didn't want to feel uncomfortable. I didn't want the discomfort. I wanted comfort. That also led to what I kind of call a dopamine addiction. You know, every time I would binge, it wouldn't just be a binge. It wouldn't be just a food binge. That's how I know this was the problem. Because it wasn't just a food binge. It was a dopamine binge. It was scrolling. Whenever I would binge, I wouldn't be able to watch a full YouTube video. I wouldn't be able to watch a full episode of a show, let alone 10 minutes of a movie. And so I would only be able to watch short form content. And that made me feel so disgusting. Along with that, food, scrolling, what else? Just instant dopamine, you know, and I couldn't just eat normal food. Like normal food didn't give me enough of a dopamine hit. Yeah, and that all was because I was seeking comfort. It wasn't until I started to actually do things that I didn't want to do and understand and tell myself that losing weight is not easy. Losing weight is not going to be comfortable. I wanted to keep binging. I wanted to eat whatever I want. I wanted to go out to eat whenever I wanted. I wanted to be super flexible. I wanted to lose weight the easiest way possible, the most comfortable way possible. And so what I did was, again, I told myself that it wasn't going to be easy. That was the first step. That's why I'm repeating myself. That's always the first step, is you have to tell yourself that it's not easy, it's not going to be comfortable, and then you take the steps. What are the steps? Not eating every time that you feel hungry, right? When you're in a calorie deficit, when you're losing weight, you're going to be hungry. That's just the name of the game, right? Now, I hope that you're not starving, because then that'll lead to binges. But you shouldn't really feel stuffed when you're in a calorie deficit. After eating every meal, you shouldn't feel like you can't eat anymore. That's what I thought eating was before this. I thought every meal I needed to be completely stuffed. And so it's understanding that. It's obviously staying under your calorie target, whatever that is for you. For me, that's 2,600 calories. It also might mean doing cardio at the gym, Stairmaster, incline treadmill. It might be doing what I'm doing right now and going for a walk, getting your steps in, getting 10K, 15K, 20K steps a day. But all those things that I'm telling you won't actually do anything for you if you don't understand the principle that we've been talking about of seeking discomfort and changing your identity of someone that is always trying to be comfortable to someone that wants to choose the uncomfortable decision, that wants to feel the discomfort, because you know that that's where you grow. You're never going to get anywhere that you want to be in life without being uncomfortable, without doing things that you don't want to do. And so every day I try to do things that I don't want to do. I take a cold shower every morning. I don't want to take a cold shower. It's not fun. But I do it anyway. And afterwards, I feel amazing. I feel amazing because I pushed myself to do something that I didn't want to do. The same thing with training. There are some days I don't want to go to the gym, but I go anyway. Because I know that's going to grow my mentality, that's going to grow my discipline, that's going to grow the muscle that you use to seek discomfort I know there's not a real muscle. What I'm trying to say is that you need to train it like a muscle. You need to consistently seek discomfort, do uncomfortable things, or else you're gonna lose it just like muscle. So you have to be consistent, you have to do something every day that you don't wanna do, but that you know that will put you in a position where you want to be in life, that will make you grow. If you're interested in one-to-one coaching, my Instagram is in the description. Just DM me the word method.